The Unraveling of Silas Croft. My name is Silas Croft, although I suspect even that fact is starting to fray around the edges, like old lace left in a drafty attic. People tend to find me peculiar. I collect keys to doors that no longer exist, wear tweed vests in the height of summer, and sometimes talk to the shadows that pool like spilled ink in the corners of my apartment. It's a small, damp place, the kind of building forgotten by time, whispering secrets through its peeling wallpaper and groaning floorboards. I felt a kinship with it, a mutual understanding of being slightly off. It smelled of dust and decay, a scent I found oddly comforting. But the comfort is gone now, replaced by a different kind of cold. It started subtly. A week ago, give or take. I was at the Daily Grinder, my usual coffee shop, a cramped little place with mismatched chairs and the clatter of porcelain. I ordered my usual black coffee, 2 sugars. The barista, a girl with perpetually tired eyes I've seen 5 mornings a week for the past year, tilted her head. "And your name for the order?" she asked, pen poised over the cup. I blinked. "Silas. Same as always, June." She frowned, a tiny line appearing between her brows. "Silas? Huh. Don't think I've had a regular Silas before. Memory like a sieve, I guess. Thanks." I laughed it off. June did have a sieve for a memory. She'd forgotten my complex order: decaf, almond milk, single shot caramel, extra foam. Just kidding, it was just black coffee, 2 sugars, plenty of times. But forgetting my name, after a year, felt weirdly specific. Then, 2 days later, I bumped into Mrs. Gable from downstairs. She's a sweet old lady who keeps a horrifying collection of porcelain dolls that watch your every move from behind dusty glass. Usually, she'd greet me with a shaky smile and a comment about my jacket. Today, it was a vintage emerald velvet number. But this time she just stared. Not through me, not yet, but at me, like I was a stranger blocking her path. "Excuse me," she mumbled, navigating around me as if I were a particularly odd piece of furniture that had appeared overnight. I tried. "Good morning, Mrs. Gable. Lovely day, isn't it?" She just shuffled past, muttering something to herself about needing more cat food.
No recognition.
None. This was new. This was unsettling. My eccentricity usually drew some reaction. A raised eyebrow, a smirk, a bless his heart. Not nothingness. Panic didn't set in immediately. I reasoned. Maybe June was distracted. Maybe Mrs. Gable was having a bad day, or her eyesight was worse than I thought. Maybe I was the one having an off week, perceiving things strangely. My collection of doorless keys felt heavier in my pocket, less quirky, more pathetic. But it escalated. Swiftly, I went to the local library, my sanctuary. The librarian, Mr. Abernathy, knows my reading habits better than I do. Obscure histories, forgotten poets, books with brittle pages that smell of time. I handed him a stack of returns. He took them, scanned them without a word, then looked up, his kind, bespectacled eyes blank. "Looking for anything in particular today?" he asked, his voice polite but impersonal. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Mr. Abernathy, it's me, Silas Croft, the one who always takes out the morbid poetry." He tilted his head, a faint, confused smile touching his lips. "Silas Croft. Doesn't ring a bell, I'm afraid. Are you a new member?" I stumbled back, knocking over a small display of large print novels. The sound seemed deafening in the sudden silence of the library. "New member? After years?" I mumbled an apology, scooped up the fallen books with trembling hands, and fled. The world outside felt colder, sharper. The city, usually a comforting cacophony, seemed distant, muted. People on the street didn't just fail to recognize me. They didn't even seem to notice my presence. I walked headfirst into a businessman engrossed in his phone. He didn't flinch, didn't apologize, didn't acknowledge the collision. He just kept walking through the space I had occupied a moment before. It was like walking through a ghost. I felt like the ghost. Fear clawed its way up my throat. I rushed home, needing the familiarity of my eccentric haven, needing to see a face, a known face. Only one person truly understood my particular brand of strangeness. My older sister, Beatrice. She lived across town, but we talked every day. I burst into my apartment, tripping over a stack of dusty, forgotten board games. The air was heavy, still. The shadows seemed deeper, watching me with their silent, knowing gaze. I snatched my phone, my fingers fumbling. Found Beatrice's contact. Hit dial. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then voicemail. Her cheerful recorded voice, a sound that usually grounded me, felt alien, detached. I tried again, and again. No answer. I sent a frantic text. B. Something really weird is happening. Call me ASAP. Silas. Minutes stretched into an eternity. No reply. I called again. Straight to voicemail this time. It wasn't ringing. Despair, cold and heavy, settled over me. I had to see her. She wouldn't forget me. Not B. We shared too many memories, too many inside jokes, too many late-night talks about the strange beauty of the world. I pulled on my most eye-catching coat, a brilliant, impractical scarlet trench, hoping it would make me undeniable, as if a flash of color could anchor me to reality. I walked through the city like a man wading through thick, invisible water. People flowed around me, their eyes sliding over my form without registering it. It was like I was cloaked in pure anonymity. The creepy atmosphere wasn't just in my building. It was the air I breathed. The world itself was forgetting me, day by day, person by person. I reached Beatrice's apartment building, the one with the blue awning. I knew the doorman, an old man named Frank who always commented on my peculiar outfits. I pushed through the glass door. Frank was behind his desk, polishing his glasses. "Frank!" I called out, my voice hoarse. He didn't look up. He polished. I walked right up to the desk. "Frank, it's me, Silas. Is Beatrice home?" He finished polishing, put his glasses back on, and looked directly at the wall behind me. He sighed, a long, drawn-out sound. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice flat. My blood ran cold. He was looking past me, through me. "Frank, it's Silas Croft, your sister Beatrice's brother. I'm here to see her." I was shouting now, my voice cracking. Another sigh. He slowly reached for the security phone. "Look, buddy, you're blocking the entrance. If you don't have business here, I'm going to have to call security." Security? He thought I was a trespasser? In Beatrice's building? Tears welled in my eyes, hot and stinging. I backed away from the desk, a choked sob escaping my lips. Frank didn't react. He went back to staring at the wall. I ran. I ran out of the building, ran down the street, ran until my lungs burned and the city became a blur of uncaring faces and indifferent buildings. I ended up in a small, forgotten park, the kind with rusted swings and a sandbox full of weeds. I collapsed onto a cold metal bench, the scarlet coat feeling less like an anchor and more like a shroud. They were forgetting me, everyone, not just strangers, not just acquaintances, but the people closest to me. My name was disappearing from their minds, my face from their sight. I was becoming a gap in reality, a note struck that nobody heard. I pulled out my collection of keys. Useless. Keys to doors that no longer existed, held by a person who was ceasing to exist in the minds of others. The irony was a bitter taste in my mouth. How long until I was completely gone? Until I could walk through a crowded street and no one would even feel the chill of my passing? Until my apartment stood empty not because I was out, but because the landlord had forgotten who paid the rent? Until even the shadows in the corners ceased to acknowledge my presence? The sun began to set, casting long, distorted shadows that stretched like grasping fingers across the park. They didn't whisper secrets to me anymore. They just grew longer, larger, more empty. I sat there, the eccentric young man in the bright red coat, surrounded by the creepy, indifferent silence of a world that was continuing, smoothly and efficiently, without me. I was still here. I could still feel the cold bite of the metal bench, the ache in my chest, the desperate clinging to my own name. But if no one else remembered, did I truly exist? The horror wasn't fading away. It was being left behind, utterly, completely, and terrifyingly alone in a world that had simply forgotten I was ever here. And I had no idea what came after being forgotten. Only the growing, suffocating dread of finding out.